you need truth and life. Here is the Brother Leon Show. You better recognize.
What's going on, listeners? This is your boy, Brother Leon, and you are tuning into another episode of the Brother Leon Show. So today, guys, we are back on another Work Truck Chronicles. So, hey, I'm up here, man. I'm sitting on my truck. I'm actually watching the moon, man. The moon is full. It's cold outside. I am not going to lie, man. The hawk is out. A flock of them. Yes, a flock. So today, guys, I want to talk about apologies. And you have to ask yourself, what is an apology? What does an apology mean? And then you also have to look at the spirit behind the apology. So, hey, right now, you're probably hearing the wind beat up against my truck. So don't be surprised if you hear the wind in the background. But like I said, we got to begin to look at the spirit behind the apology. And the one thing that I want you guys to understand and know right now is that when an apology is given, you are recognizing that you have made an offense, that you made a mistake, that you violated somebody or a person or a group. And so the apology is meant to mend. But sometimes, I ain't gonna lie, man. Some people, they will not take apologies. Sometimes apologies, they act as closure. But then in some cases, some people don't want closure. I totally get that. You know, if you're really trying to reconcile, if you're really trying to make amends, I totally get that. Because there were instances in my life where, you know, how many times do I have to say sorry? And yet the person, you know, would not accept my apology. And I had to live with that. And I had to just, you know, keep moving on. But then the crazy thing about it is that some apologies are genuine. And then some apologies are just fake as hell. Fake as knockoffs that you see, you know, in some of these thrift stores and some of these farmers markets. Some of these knockoffs are as fake as some of these handbags that look like real handbags that you can get for $20, $40. And that's the God knows truth. And so you got to begin to look at the fact of the conflict of interest at times. And so the one thing that I want you guys to understand and know is this, is that when you look at the election, when you look at the election that just happened and now we have a new president, when you look at the rhetoric that was behind, you know, the whole election with the stop the steal and voter fraud, massive voter fraud that only happened on the presidential side. But it didn't happen with some of these Senate races. It didn't happen with some of these House races. But yet, massive voter fraud. And the crazy thing about it is that when you look at the language that was being projected at the cities, you know, that were, you know, under speculation, Michigan, you know, Flint, Michigan, Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta, you know, Milwaukee. And the crazy rhetoric that was there was, you can't trust these cities. And these cities were predominantly urban cities with people of color, black people in particular. And so, you know, the thing that really hurt me the most about it is that there were actually people that were praying that God would stop the vote in some of those states. And then you have the whole stop the steal rhetoric. And then, you know, you have the insurrection, and then you have, you know, politicians and political actors who are basically going with the whole conspiracy theory. Nothing could be proven. And the crazy thing about it is that these are some of the people that basically are telling you, hey, I'm here for the urban community. I'm here for the black community. But yet, how can you say you're for the black community and then you accuse the black community at the same time? You want to reconcile past injustices, but then in the same token, you saying this is what is happening. And then the crazy thing about it, even when it came to the prophets, some of them written apologies. But I want to give you a contrast. When the accusation came forth of voter fraud from Senator Lankford, who's also a part of Promise Keepers. Promise Keepers, they are big on the whole thing about racial reconciliation. But he was one of the proponents and one of the people and actors that was on this whole thing about voter fraud. But in the same token, you belong to an organization such as Promise Keepers that talks about racial reconciliation, but yet you accuse urban cities and people in urban cities and even those who may have been a part of your movement. But at the same token, when you put this out here on social media, when you put this out here on the news, and then all of a sudden now you're saying that you did not know, didn't know that you were basically accusing people of color, black people in particular, and also, those who may have voted Democrat. So you almost calling them liars to a certain degree. And then you want to say that you didn't know. You knew. And you can look at the CNN interviews. And you can also look at the Promise Keepers Promise 6 video. Definitely a big contrast. So I guess, in other words, if we can say that the government has to fix this whole problem of policy when it comes to racism, but yet, when you get on the ministerial stage, it's all about reconciliation. We wasn't talking reconciliation when you got in front of the mic or when you got on the Senate floor. You had straight up facts. This is what you delivered. And then when the insurrection happened, you was like, nah, we going to put that to bed. And now all of a sudden, hey, I want to offer an apology. Sorry, black people, I was wrong. How many times have we heard that? Seriously. How many times have we heard that? Even with the prophets. You go on every daggone platform that has a camera to pronounce President Trump. When the prophecy falls through, then all of a sudden, hey, I want to write a written apology. I'm not a false prophet. Now my integrity is being challenged, but I'm not false. And I just want to apologize. This is not who we are. Oh, hell yeah, that's who y'all are. Because, the crazy thing is that you haven't even called your colleagues on the carpet that put forth curses. For those who may have voted democratically. And then even those, who didn't even take the same stance. And even those who are still having online church. So at the end of the day, man, look, your apology is a day late and $1 short. And the crazy thing about it is that if you can get up in front of a camera and put out that accusation, not even being founded. A lot of this stuff is QAnon. And then want to have the audacity to put out a written apology and statement and not even get in front of a camera, man, please. Senator Lankford, Brother Lankford, however you want to be called, why? Why can't you get in front of a camera and say the apology? But yet, you want us to believe you can hire somebody to write an apology. Just like President Trump could hire somebody to write a speech. Same thing as President Obama. But I look at it, some written apologies, you have to write them because of the sensitive nature. You could have very well got in front of a camera and say, hey, I'm wrong. Even social media. But at the end of the day, I'm starting to see the contrast. And this is why I say that Christian nationalism is a detriment to the church. It's a detriment to the church. It's dangerous in the church. And God be my witness, I'm going to try my best and hardest to expose it and to dismantle it, because you see the contrast. Senator, part of the Promise Keepers movement. What does Promise Keepers stand for? Racial reconciliation. That is what they stand for. And so at the end of the day, you pretty much calling black people liars, even though you belong to an organization that is trying to reconcile black people. And this is what I mean about we got to stop financing our own oppression. Because you cannot have reconciliation without recognition. I guess there was no recognition when it came to the people that voted in those states that you accuse. So at the end of the day, people, it's time for us to wake up. But on that note, I'm done. Peace.
Walk in the truth that makes you free every day. Follow Brother Leon on all social media outlets.